Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hello, Rita Wild.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's another fun episode. I love these episodes. I love all our episodes, you know. Fourth season. Hard to believe,
episode
right?
2.
Number 2 of our 4th season.
Well, today, or this week, or this time around, our interviews with 5-time Grammy-nominated guitarist Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Kenny's new album, Dirt on My Diamonds Volume 1, is scheduled to be released on November 17th, but we were lucky enough to catch him for the interview right before the tour started. The new album was recorded at the legendary Fame Studios in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. This project chronicles Shepherd's journey of musical evolution, touching on stories of loss, redemption, and memorable melodies, all crafted by an elite team of songwriters.
Kenny was born in Louisiana in 1977. Yes, he's a young one. Shepherd's own life has never followed the script. Steeped in classic blues and rock and roll from an early age by his dad, who was a respected Louisiana radio personality and promoter, Kenny soon reached for his first Fender Stratocaster and found he didn't require lessons to make it cry and wail. Long before Warner Brothers subsidiary Giant Records offered a deal, Shepherd had toured in clubs he was still too young to even drink in.
So here we go with our interview with Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Hi, Kenny. I think the last time we hung out, we did a promotion for you playing at House of Blues in Anaheim, and you went with a grand prize winner and rode Tower of Terror at Disney's California Adventure.
I remember that. Yeah, that was fun, man. I really enjoyed that ride, but so any excuse to go on that thing was good with me.
Kenny, you got the new album, Dirt on My Diamonds, Volume 1, going to be released November 17th on Pro Rogue Records and a Mascot label group. Tour starts September 17th in a great blues town, Kansas City. I got to be real honest with you. First time I heard the single, Sweet and Low, I had two thoughts. First one was, good God Almighty, this is so good. And the other was, it's got to be Muscle Shoals.
Yeah, well, we wrote that song. We wrote a lot of these songs down in Muscle Shoals. We went down to Fame Studios and spent a few days down there just kind of hashing out new material and stuff. And I'm a firm believer in that, the environment plays a role in what's created for sure.
Your songwriting is so super strong on this album, and the hooks are amazing. It just sounds like you've really put a lot more effort into songwriting.
Thank you. I mean, I've always focused on the songwriting. I mean, it's always been important to me. I grew up in a radio household. My dad was a program director, general manager, and on-air personality of the hottest radio stations in my hometown. So I grew up around the radio station, listening to the radio constantly. So, vocal melodies, choruses, things, hook lines that hopefully kind of stick in your mind. All of that stuff, has been kind of part of what I focused on from the very beginning of my career, because that's what I grew up around.
How do you write the songs, Kenny? Do you usually write the music and share the lyrics, or how does that go about? Because there's a couple songwriters.
Yeah. So it just depends. Every situation is different. I would say 90% of the time it starts with a musical idea. So on my phone here, I have probably 900 different ideas that I have recorded into literally that I've recorded into the phone. And I just, when it comes time to write a song, I'll just sift through them and listen to all these clips of these ideas and see which one kind of pops out at me and speaks to me in that moment. And that's usually the beginning of a song. Is like, here, I got this cool musical idea, and what are we going to do with it? But sometimes, a person will come in with a chorus or a song title or just like one line, and we can build off that. And this particular song, Sweet and Low, was a combination of that. So like I had the guitar riff, and Philip White, who was one of the co-writers on the song, had shown up to the writing session and was just talking about how he went to pick up a coffee on the way to the session. and he was just standing there, putting some sweetener in his coffee, and something about that Sweet Low packet was speaking to him that
Oh,
day.
wow.
And here we are.
That's awesome. The one part of the song that really is infectious. It's got that great songwriting capability, musicianship, the vocals, everything's great, but it's got a little bit more of a modern feel to it.
Well, I've always, historically in my career, in my opinion, tried to take, blues music and rock, as the foundation of what I do, and try and push it into the different areas, and try new things. I mean, I'm trying to create new sounds and new ideas with each album. I've never wanted all my albums to sound the same, or to be the kind of artist that before I put out a record that you know exactly what it's going to sound like. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we're kind of pushing the envelope in a couple of different directions here with the music, and trying some new and different things. And, anytime you take some chances and you go out, and try and push the genre in different directions, and, some people are going to love it. Some people are going to go, wow, I never would have thought of that particular idea. And then some people are going to go, oh, this is a little too far out for me, but regardless, that's like what keeps me coming back as an artist, keeps me thriving as an artist, is like trying new things, and not trying to do the same old thing every time. That keeps it interesting for all of us.
Yeah, one of the things I really enjoyed about the entire album, Kenny, was, and I'm not technically that savvy at how things are put together, but the way everything pops, the music, every instrument pops out and sounds so clear, and it sounds amazing. It's not like, there's sometimes you hear where things are kind of muffled, and this album is just, everything comes out. I like Solo, the guitar you do in Bad Intentions, everything is just kind of pops out and sounds so fresh and crisp. So I'm not sure who gets the credit for that. I don't know if it's the producer or the mixers, but it really sounds good.
It's a team effort. I mean, everybody plays a role in the sonic world, of making albums. But the engineer for sure gets credit for that, and the mixing engineer gets credit for that. The mastering engineer gets credit for that, and the producers. All of those people play a real integral part of the end result of a sound of a record. But clarity is important, balance is important. And, I like albums that really sound like the band is playing right in front of you,
It does have that live feel. Also, one thing to add to what you were saying, I really think a studio can make a difference too. I mean, so many great songs were recorded at Muscle Shoals. I mean, all the Aretha, Stones, Greg Allman, Dwayne Allman.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the room is important. For sure. All of that stuff contributes, without a doubt. I mean, and then just the vibe of the place, can have an influence and an impact on the way a record sounds.
Another song that I really love a lot on the album is You Can't Love Me If You Don't Love Yourself. I mean, that to me, you grew up in radio, and radio has changed so dramatically since your first album, Ledbetter Heights, came out in 95. But having grown up around that, I mean, you can hear hit singles. And that to me sounds like a definite hit single. I mean, I think that could be like, Hot AC or even country, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, the country as a genre has kind of gone in a lot of different directions as well, and for better or for worse. But, nowadays a lot of popular country music really sounds like 90s rock and roll, and
exactly.
We were all over the 90s rock radio, so I could see how we could kind of possibly fit into the realm of the sound of current country music, because that's what we were dominant on the rock charts in the 90s for sure. But there has a real kind of R&B. That song has a real kind of R&B vibe to it as well. I mean, I personally agree with you. I think the song could be a hit song. The question is that, what does that look like in the world today? It used to be you could put out a single and let the record company do their thing and watch it run up the charts and see the audience react and call into radio. But nowadays there's not a lot of radio stations out there in mainstream terrestrial radio that support anyone that's really labeled has the blues label on them, and it's hard to get people to look beyond a label that's been put on you to consider putting you onto a different platform, so there's like these barriers that are up. But at the end of the day, I mean, it'd be great to have another hit at radio for sure, but really our success, measure of our success has always been to a degree that how many people have shown up to the concerts, and frankly, we're on a roll right now where the tours that we've done over the last 2 years since people got back to work have been by and large sold out almost across the board. And if they weren't sold out, they were very close to being sold out. So the audience is still responding to the music. They're still motivated to come hear it in a live setting. And that's great. That's a win for sure.
Yeah, the live thing definitely seems to be taking over. Otherwise, it's like Spotify or whatever, and it's like, it's a TikTok world in a sense, the attention grabbing, if you can get them for longer than 15 seconds, but it's got to be a real challenge for artists getting airplay and stuff. But as long as you're satisfied, just being on the road and playing live, that's great.
Well, it's good that we have built a career, that's going on 3 decades. And probably one of the biggest parts of that is the fact that I think that we have a very strong reputation of being a great live band. And so that's, I think, worked in our favor. But who knows, I mean, the idea that for somebody doing the kind of music that I do, having a hit song at radio is it's a challenging proposition, but that doesn't stop me from writing the best songs that I think we can write and writing material that I believe deserves to be on the radio. And then, then it's just a matter of seeing whether or not everything else actually falls into place or not.
Also, the money doesn't come from the selling of albums anymore or the playing on Spotify and things like that. It all comes from the touring. So as nice it is to be on a label and to get, some recognition that way, it just seems like, the touring is where you're going to make your money. Touring and merchandise is where you're going to make your money.
Yeah, I mean, historically, that's been the case as well, too, unless you're just a massive, massive superstar.
Yeah.
And even them, I mean, you look at Taylor Swift. I mean, Taylor Swift has made tons of money off of her albums and stuff, but she's probably making a lot more money off that tour as well. I mean, doing uphill numbers,
She could probably retire twice.
And then the theaters, I guess it's coming out on the theaters in October or something. It's going to play like for several days in theaters.
There you go.
You did I think a tour in 2019 with one of our former guests, Beth Hart, who's absolutely amazing. And I didn't realize that ever happened, but I was just watching some of the video and I'm like, God, this would have been so great to have seen.
Yeah, we did a tour here. We did some dates in the States together and then also in Europe. And she's a tremendous talent. I mean, I remember the first time our paths crossed was back in the 1990s. And, she's another one of those artists that's hung in there, man. And I think to some degree, she's doing better now than she ever has, which is always great to see, man. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, you're lucky if you get a shot at the record industry, right? Because so many people just want a chance. So you're lucky if you get a shot. And then the amount of people that actually are successful, and let's just say for 5 years, is a very slim majority. But to have a career that's going on 30 years and actually in some ways be doing the best business that you've ever done is a remarkable thing to be proud of. And we're on that same trajectory ourselves in my band. So there's a lot of people from our generation that came up in the 90s doing this stuff that hung in there for the past 30 years. And now it's like I think we're considered to be career artists at this point.
Absolutely.
Indeed. You haven't forgotten the blues, and there's another track on the album that's just fantastic called Ease My Mind.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that was, I just remember when we wrote that song that I was feeling like, we needed that song. So I went to my friend and songwriting partner, Dylan Altman, and he's a very well versed in the blues, and a great blues guitar player and singer and songwriter himself. And I was just like, hey man, we were in the studio making the record, and I had this bluesy musical idea, and I sent it to him, and I'm like, we need some really back alley blues lyrics for this thing. And, can you try and throw something together? Like, I'm in the middle of recording this other thing, but here's this idea. Here's the arrangement for the music. Can you throw some back alley blues lyrics down on it? And that's what he did. And that collaboration ended up being exactly what the album needed. It's a great way to kind of wind up this volume 1 of this record.
I read, Kenny, that you feel like it's hard to write a good traditional blues song. Why is it so hard?
Well, it's hard because it's challenging to write it and it not sound cliche, and because so many of the blues greats have already written those lyrics and done it so well, and all that tongue-in-cheek stuff, and so much of it's already been done. So then if you do it, you almost sound like you're just like trying to be, like them. And so you don't want to come across as a wannabe. You want to be legitimate, and it's hard. And also, some of the most amazing blues songs are all built out or created out of that individual's experience, and so you kind of have to have the experience to go along with it sometimes. But it is very rewarding when you feel like you've accomplished that. We've written a couple of like legit blues songs over the years, but I just know, like, every time you sit down and you go, oh, let's write a blues song, and it's inevitable that sometimes like this hokey lyric comes out of nowhere, and you're just like, no, we can't say that. We just can't. That's either it's already been done, or we just sound like complete dorks saying that. You know what I mean?
You need some more depressing experiences.
Well, in all honesty, I probably wrote my most depressing music when I was a teenager. And, since about the age of 25 years old, I've just kind of had a really positive outlook on life, and I got a lot to be grateful for. And I have a wonderful wife and 6 beautiful kids. And I just, I just realized that, like, there's so much negativity in our world today.
God.
And like, I don't want to be responsible for contributing to that. So I want to bring positivity, and music is a powerful thing. You have the ability to move people, to stir emotion in their souls. Sometimes music can, boxers, fighters listen to the music on their headphones to get them amped up to go throw down. That's how much music can influence what you're about to do. And I find that to be a great responsibility. So, I want to try and motivate people with positivity,
And speaking of fighting, you do a cover of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. So what is it about Elton or Bernie's music that grabbed you and had you re-record that song?
Well, I think the timing is great. Obviously, whenever we cover a song, it's by somebody who I admire, who I respect, their contribution to music and their talents. And then obviously I feel like it has to be a song that I think we can do a great version of. I'm also friends with Davey, who is Elton's guitar player and has been forever. And I really admire him as a human being and as a guitar player. So that kind of played into it as well. But the timing, I think, is great because, he's doing his farewell tour right now. And it's just kind of our way of saying, thank you for your contribution, because his music has inspired many, many people over the years, for sure.
Oh God. And what a great choice.
Yeah. It's like you think about songs like Van Halen when they started out. You Really Got Me. They recorded that 76, 77, and it had been a hit like 64. So it wasn't that far away, and it's been 50 years now since Saturday Night's, All Right for Fighting, and it's a great song. I remember when you were on the Mark and Brian show, KLOS, I think it was 95. I think the album Ledbetter Heights had just come out. And you told the story about your dad, who you mentioned earlier, worked in radio, and he was also a concert promoter. But you were talking about somebody whose music you love so much, and your dad confirmed that, yeah, you used to sit on the mic, not on the mic, on the amplifier of a person. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean that's that's the story that's kind of been with me my whole life. Was the first time I met Stevie Ray Vaughan, and it was a life-changing moment for me. I mean, I was already interested in playing guitar, but after seeing him play in person and getting to meet him before the show, it just that lit the fire. I mean, it lit the fire in me to. It gave me the motivation, like to do whatever it took, however much practice was necessary, just to try and see if I could play the instrument with some fire, like he had, and to try and affect people through the instrument the way he affected me.
You definitely do, but how cool is it to know that you work with his drummer, Chris Layton, and also before with Tommy Shannon from Double Trouble.
And Reese Winans too. All the guys of Double Trouble. So like starting on the Trouble Is album, Chris played on the first album, Ledbetter Heights, and Chris has been in my live band now for close to 20 years. But Chris has been on every album except for one throughout my entire career playing drums. But when we got to the second album, Trouble Is, we had Reese Winans and Tommy Shannon and Chris Layton. So we had the entire Double Trouble band in the studio for the Trouble Is record and for the Live On record after that as well. And then for a while, I had Tommy and Chris out on the road with me as my rhythm section, and got a lot of history with those guys, before I knew them and since I've known them, and we've made some great music together. And Chris is like, he's like family to me, and I just love having him on stage because he's one of the greatest guys to ever pick up a pair of drumsticks for sure.
Did they play on the 25th anniversary of Trouble Is?
Yeah.
Also?
Yeah, we had, except for Tommy. Tommy has been retired now for some time from music, from recording and touring. So he didn't play bass on the 25th anniversary version of Trouble Is, but we did have Chris, and we had Reese, and we had Jerry Harrison, who produced the original, come in and produce the new version. And we had myself and Noah Hunt on vocals. And so we kind of had almost the whole crew back together to remake that record.
You got a new bass player by the name of Kevin McCormick playing with you. Kevin's a good guy. Kevin's really talented. He produced a song with Bruce Springsteen and Nils Lofgren, and just a great guy. So tell him I said, hey, you were so young when you started, and grew up with music. It definitely made you who you are, and you would still be a musician if you had probably not been successful, I would say. So looking back at that, what would you say to your 19-year-old self now that you're this far into your career?
Well, I've actually been asked this question several times. The answer is the thing that I would tell myself, my younger self, is one of those lessons that you only learn by becoming an adult, And so it's like I would tell myself this, but my younger self wouldn't fully comprehend it until I became my older self, But it's like, learning to actually be present in the moment, knowing how to really be present in the here and now and take in what's happening right now 100%, instead of being distracted by this or thinking too far ahead about that or whatever, because the things that were happening to me when I was 19 years old they were unusual. That was not the normal 19-year-old kid experience. Selling millions of records, having number one singles at rock radio, touring all over the world. But at the time, it felt completely normal to me because it was my life. So I just didn't know any different. And I didn't know any different for a long time. But now as I've grown up, and I look back and I have my own kids and I look, I have a daughter who's about to be 16 years old. I'm going, I signed a record deal when I was her age, my career was beginning at her age, and that is not normal. And so, but it was normal for me. Right. And so now I can look back and go, wow, what an exceptional experience, and highly unusual and just grateful. And I always was grateful for all of it, but I didn't appreciate at the time. I wasn't able to, because I was a kid and I didn't have perspective, you know. I didn't have the ability to fully appreciate just how unique the situation was, you know.
Beautifully said. And it's so hard, I think, for most people to be in the present, be here and now without any other distractions. I mean, I'm still practicing and I'm way older than you are, Kenny. So
yeah.
He's got 6 kids, though, you know.
Well, that's true.
6 kids will do that to you.
Yeah. I'll definitely give you some perspective. Yeah.
Okay. Kenny, it's around the end. We have a few more minutes, but we want to do what we call the bonus round. So now we're going to throw out the crazy fun questions to you. Like, what was the first concert you ever went to?
According to my dad, my very first concert when I was 3 years old was Muddy Waters and John Lee Hooker.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Wow.
Who would you like to meet that you've never met before and maybe play with them and stuff?
You know, I don't have a running list. Usually I feel like those kind of things take care of themselves. I've met just about every hero that I ever could have hoped for. So now it's kind of like, well, who am I going to meet that I didn't realize that I really wanted to meet? You know what I mean? Who's going to cross my path where I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I got to meet that person, but I don't know who that is yet.
That's good perspective too.
What band do you regret never seeing live?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what. So I never got to see Albert King live. Like, I saw Albert Collins, I saw BB King, I saw Freddie King was gone.
You played with BB.
Yeah. But Albert King, like, you know, I was going to concerts while he was still alive, but I just never had the opportunity to see him. And that would have been great because he was certainly one of my heroes.
Do you have a memorable Spinal Tap moment?
Oh, there's plenty. I mean, we've definitely gotten lost in venues before, you know. I've done stupid things, not necessarily a Spinal Tap moment, but just like stupid rock and roll things where, like, we were opening up for the Rolling Stones in front of 80,000 people. And I didn't, you know, I had a 25-foot long guitar cable and their stage is like
1,000 feet.
Yeah, it's like massive. And I got all fired up and I was like, I'm going to go play for these people. And I ran across the stage and the cable came flying out of the guitar because it was only 25 feet long in front of 80,000 people. And I'm like scurrying around trying to find my cable and stick it back in the guitar, like mid solo. You know, that was kind of goofy for sure.
What is your coolest piece of memorabilia?
Well, so that's one thing. I have some stuff that I've wound up with over the years, but I actually have never been a collector of things. And there's a lot of opportunities that were missed, I think, because, you know, we didn't have cell phone cameras back in the day. And I wasn't the kind of guy that always had a camera handy. There's so many cool moments that probably should have been photographed, or so many cool posters and things like that I should have saved. But I had this collection of laminates from all these early tours that I did with the Eagles, Hell Freezes Over tour when we first got back together.
Van Halen?
Yeah, and I had collected those for a while, and then I left them at a friend's house like years and years and years ago, and I never was reunited with them. That's a kind of a bummer because I did have a little collection of those things, laminates going on, and then I lost it, and so I decided, well, that was it. But that would probably be very cool if I still had that for sure.
Do you still have the friend?
Sort of. I mean, I don't live in Louisiana on a regular basis anymore, so, you know.
Where do you call home these days?
Well, so we had a house just until recently in Louisiana, and we had a place in California, but we sold both of those places, and we moved to Tennessee, which has been really great. My family is really doing very well. My kids love it there. My wife loves it there. I love it there. People are happy. You know, it's a music city, so that's cool too. But the main reason why we moved there is because I thought it would be a great place for us to raise our children.
How old's the youngest?
She's 5.5.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, what about your football team? How do you think they're going to do this year?
I'm hoping everybody's hopeful. You know, we got a new quarterback. There's a lot of young guys on the team, so, you know, maybe there's a couple of years of fine tuning that might have to take place. Usually when a team is young like that, you just drafted a rookie quarterback. I mean, it's a kind of a rebuilding process, but they also have a lot of talented guys already on the roster. So I'm hoping that, like, you know, they really surprise everybody this year. And, you know, maybe there's like this once in a lifetime run of, like, you know, the rookie quarterback, and, you know, everything just falls into place. Who knows what's going to happen, but I'm hopeful for sure.
Excellent. Love that.
Who's the team? Since I'm a football.
Indianapolis
Colts.
Okay.
Originally Baltimore Colts with Johnny Unitas.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. All right.
Peyton Manning, you know.
Peyton
okay.
Manning.
All right. I'm just for the
Reggie
listeners that
Wayne.
can't see the hat. I'm just trying to help.
That's all good. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Kenny, we can't thank you enough for this time, and congratulations on this record, man. It is really, really solid.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. We're excited to have it out there. You know, I think the official release date is November 17th, but every month between now and then, we're going to be putting out a new song for people to hear. And I'm just excited about it. And, you know, a new album means a new tour. And so that means we get to play more shows for our fans. And so we'll be coming to a city near you.
Hopefully we'll see you in California soon.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Kenny.
Excellent.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kenny.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
What a nice guy. Totally fun to hang out with him again.
Just phenomenal, guitarist and great stories. And he's really found himself, you know.
Yeah.
He was such a youngster before and did all the things that youngsters do, but he's 6 kids. I can't believe that.
6 kids and staying present. You know, I can barely stay present with no kids.
Hard enough to keep up with our individual selves.
Right? But it was fun.
It's like taking care of 6 kids.
What, just one of us?
Yeah, that's 3 for you,
Yeah,
3
exactly.
for me, or 12 between us.
Kenny Wayne Shepherd's new album, Dirt on My Diamonds, Volume 1, comes out November 17th. You can pre-order it wherever you get your fine music, or grab an autographed copy on Kenny's website, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. Shepherd is spelled SHEPHERD.com.
The tour for Dirt on My Diamonds Volume 1 has just begun. You can find dates as far as March 2024 on Kenny's website.
Also, thank you to John Blecher for coordinating the interview.
You can follow Kenny on social media, Instagram and Facebook, Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
And check out our show notes, folks. It's on our website, rockandrollconfessional.rocks. You can find links to some of the subjects talked about in today's show, including links to order the autographed CD, videos from the new album, along with some classic videos and live goodies that we dug up.
And 2W does a fantastic job with that website, Rock and Roll Confessional.
Digging up things.
rockandrollconfessional.rocks. It's really good. The daily stories are great too. So please support the podcast by subscribing wherever you can and writing a review. Follow and comment on Instagram and Facebook, and sharing our posts with your friend.
And what else? What? Go ahead.
With your friend.
With your friend.
Sharing our posts with your friends. See, one friend. I got 6 of them.
Yeah, they're all related to you. They all live in your head.
That's right. It's crowded up here. That's it for this show. Keep rocking.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. See you soon. Bye.